We are talking to Reid Elkus of Elkus & Sisson, a law firm that has been representing law enforcement officers on behalf of the FOP for more than 13 years. Reid, in the past 3 years, you have represented a number of deputies who have been involved in disciplinary actions. Tell us about the appeal process and some of the cases where it's worked out well for the officer.
So the Denver Sheriff Department, they're career service employees. And so as career service employees, the career service rules allows a sheriff deputy that whether it's suspension, demotion, or termination, to appeal their discipline to the career service hearing office. So they have full due process rights. Those officers get to call witnesses, subpoena witnesses, cross-examine witnesses, closing argument, or, opening statements, the whole 9 yards.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Good results.
Yeah, fantastic.
And so how does the FOP legal defense plan work?
So if you are a member that is going through an administrative action, let's say an internal affairs investigation where you've, let's say, you're under investigation for, let's say, a use of force or some type of alleged misconduct within the agency, then you submit a claim with the Legal Defense Fund. And the Legal Defense Fund provides and pays for an attorney to represent that officer either through the internal affairs process fully, through the full disciplinary process, meaning through the appeal processes and essentially allowing or paying for the lawyer to defend that officer fully, as well as when officers involved in a critical incident. If that officer is involved in a officer-involved shooting or there's a death in the jail, then the Legal Defense Fund pays attorneys to provide legal counsel for those members.
Why is it important to have a good legal defense plan? And what happens to people who don't?
They're exposed internally through their agency and arguably civilly based on their own actions. And so what is amazing about the legal defense plan is that it provides security that officers may not get through their own city. And that is why the legal defense plan for the FOP is remarkable. It's better than any other type of union that's out there because it really does provide full defense for these officers through their union.
And talk about some of the important cases you have worked on or are working on now.
There's a career service rule for the Denver Sheriff deputies that has now changed the burden of proof for officers, where before if an officer was disciplined, then the employer, in this case City and County of Denver, was required to prove that the discipline was reasonable. Now the City and County of Denver has changed that burden and has put the burden now on the officer to prove that the discipline was erroneous. And we believe that the only reason that is happening is because the FOP, Lodge 27, is the collective bargaining agent for the City and County of Denver. And they are being treated differently because of their union representation, or because of a union. And that is a violation of the First Amendment. And that is a very important case because we believe that it should change, and you can't allow the City and County of Denver to retaliate against a union by virtue of its status as a union.
Talk about how many other law firms are representing the FOP and why that is important.
There's a lot of law firms representing the FOP, but why that is important is because there are situations where, let's say our firm is representing multiple officers, and we cannot represent everybody because there may be conflicts. And it allows the other officers, allows basically the union membership the opportunity to go to other law firms and give them the full extent of the benefit of the legal defense plan.
Why do you choose to work exclusively for the FOP versus other groups?
The FOP truly cares for the brotherhood and sisterhood of law enforcement officers. And I believe wholly to my core that this job is single-handedly one of the most important jobs that we have in our country. And I love representing law enforcement, and I really do. And like I said, I've been doing it for 15 years. I can't imagine doing anything other than this for these guys. And it's an honor to represent the Fraternal Order Police.
All right, thank you, Reid. It is clear that the FOP has been and will continue to be the organization providing legal representation to an overwhelming number of Denver deputies. The FOP legal defense plan is second to none, and it doesn't make any sense for any law enforcement officer in Colorado to go to work without the protection it provides. If you are not already a member of the FOP, then contact us and find out how you can enjoy the protection of the FOP legal defense plan. The email address is fopcolorado@gmail.com, or you can call 303-426-1733.